indie game garden.
Cyryl Szmit is a generous and creative game designer based in Poland. He's in the process of developing a gorgeous project called Monasterium, a game which he describes as a cozy building/life sim where you craft a monastery and manage its inhabitants. He also works for Monster Couch, the company behind the digitization of the hit board game Wingspan. Cyryl, thank you so much for being here. Can you talk me through your journey to becoming a developer, what drew you to games in the first place, and any other context you'd like to provide?
Oh yeah, okay. You know what? I started playing games. I had the first computer, like a basically white old box computer, when I was 6 or 7. And I remember I started playing some like adventure games, but really quickly I started playing strategy games, and I love strategy games. I guess that's mostly because of the like systematic things in them. Like you need to learn those systems, and I guess I was 10 or 11 when I had like this idea. Okay, I would like to create a game. Like I know something about them. It seems like the whole companies make it okay, but like why not? I can try and learn it. And actually, the first thing I tried to learn myself was C++. Obviously, I started from coding, and well, it didn't go well. Basically, after like a first or second page of the tutorial, I basically like started reading it, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's so like mathematics. I don't know those things, like the x and variables and everything. Okay, it's not for me." But then, when I was like 13, probably, in the end of the school year, actually, and this is like a huge person in my history, informatics teacher, great person. She, like in the last month of the school year, she started HTML with us. And I felt like, okay, programming is easy. It isn't programming, I know that right now, but still, it was great.
Yeah.
And from that point, I basically started learning C#. In like 2 months from that, I jumped into Unity. Second year of the school, or like that's the middle school in Poland. I went through the whole process of creating my first game that I didn't release, obviously, but it was a great project, and from them it was a roller coaster, basically for me.
Yeah. Do you remember what the first game like was, and what was the kind of concept for it?
Okay. There is a RPG game that is
Yeah.
kind of popular in Poland. It's actually German made, I guess,
Okay.
but it's not like super popular around the world. It's called Gothic.
Okay.
And I love that game when I was like actually like 13 or 12. It was kind of old game then, but it's much older right now.
Yeah.
But I had this idea. Okay, I want to make like Gothic-like RPG where the main character visits like the volcano world. It's basically volcano crater with a small cities built in this world.
Interesting.
A lot of lava, a lot of things. It took me some time to do like very basic things, like character steps into the lava and dies.
Yeah.
And one thing I do remember, which is actually a biggest thing I love about right now of this concept, is that I created a main menu scene, but I didn't know what UI is or GUI at that moment.
Right.
So I basically went straight to, okay, I need those boxes. I will put the texture on them, and there will be like a 3D objects that player can click on.
Okay.
It worked. It worked really fine.
That's very cool. Yeah, kind of coming up with your own version of what UI can be.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. Well, now we can get on to the game you're working on today. After having kind of made these prototypes and learned how to become a developer, tell me more about Monasterium, the origins of the game, Why did the idea of creating a cozy and somewhat caricatured version of kind of a religious hub in this case appeal to you?
Okay. I will start with the history
Mm-hmm.
because I, for last like 6 or 7 years, I do work in Monster Couch, and for all of that time, I was actually working on Wingspan, which
Mm-hmm.
is a great game. I love it. I learned a lot from that game, but for a creative person, it's kind of being in one subject only. So
Right.
for like, I guess almost all of that time, I was playing a bit with some concepts, like trying to make some games. Usually, after some time, I wasn't pleased with what I came up. So usually, those projects are basically ended in garbage. Right now, I do know that that might be actually my ADHD. But, well,
Mm.
um, but this whole process actually it learned, like I learned some things. I was crafting some things, and I learned the kind of games I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess also like talking with my friend a year ago, or like maybe even 2 years ago, I don't know. He actually made me myself come up with the idea that okay, I do like create things. It's not about programming. It's not about, I don't know, earning money or like just creating a game. No, I do love the like creation process.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole creation process thingy started like being in my mind. And I remember the game that is called Castle Story. I
Mm-hmm.
loved it. A great game, great cozy game, a great game where people can create things actually.
Mm-hmm.
It obviously had like it had this whole idea behind it that was much bigger than the game actually was after the release.
Mm.
And so the studio that created it kind of went downstairs. It's not existing right now, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
still, the whole idea was there. And I really like to create something around it. So a year and a half ago, I guess, I started working on a project that was from one side I knew that I want to do something similar to Castle Story. Similar, I mean, you build things from blocks.
Mm-hmm.
From the other side, I wanted to also learn some technical things about Unity, like DOTS technology.
Mm-hmm.
And it just went great. I started using those for a month.
Mm-hmm.
Then the first obstacles came up. I was redoing a lot of things again and again. And it took me like, I don't know, almost like 9 months probably,
Wow.
while working this on this project to basically have a terrain and a prototype of the building system. There was
Mm-hmm.
a lot in the background, like systems, but visibly it wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually my boyfriend Dima, um, he was working with like a team of junior game designers and like game developers, basically hobby team.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like the contests. Okay, let's create some ideas. We want to choose one of them and go with them further. It went great. Like
Hmm.
he created actually like 3 ideas for that team, but one of them was actually how I call it, a like monastery based tycoon 2 point like game.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
basically the
Yeah.
short pitch. And I really love that idea. And I was actually like trying to talk to him and trying to talk to that team that, guys, it's a great idea. It's like, it's simple to make, like simpler than other ideas you had.
Mm.
And it's there. Like there's a lot of materials that you can use.
Yeah.
But they didn't choose it.
Mm.
And that actually turned out great for me because when I found out they didn't choose it, I started thinking like, okay, do I like this concept? Yes, I was fighting for it. Is it something that I would like to play? Obviously, yes. I love 2 point games and those kind of games. So we went to the moment when I was like, okay, I realized that my current project isn't going well, but I can use it. I can use this
Mm-hmm.
project to start making Monasterium. So, okay, what Monasterium is, because you asked me about that, and I started
Mm-hmm.
talking with the history. Monasterium is basically a game where you, first of all, build the monastery, but you also decorate,
Mm-hmm.
because it is a monastery, it is a monument. You want it
Mm-hmm.
to be beautiful. You want to be a creative person in it, and like you want to chill and create there.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it might be a good game at this point. Well, as I said, I love strategic things and systems. So we have, of course, the monastery monks that live there. We have the production processes, because not everyone actually knows this. We were doing some research, and monasteries in medieval times, at least, were creating like a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, books and knowledge. That's something monasteries are known for. But like wines, the best
Mm.
wines that were around in medieval times, other types of alcohols,
Yeah.
some types of food, also hospitals,
Mm.
also monasteries were hotels, because people wanted to arrive there and live there because they had money to pay the church to
Right.
live there, and it was safe there.
Mm.
Not everyone in the medieval times were safe, and actually monasteries were like the safest place.
Yeah.
All the people were the people of the god, and this is a great place to be. But like all of those elements, we want to put them in monastery. So you produce you produce the goods. You can sell them. You can trade with them, because you want to build. You need money to build. But
Mm-hmm.
also there are pilgrims coming to monastery, and you can provide them with the goods you produced. You can
Mm.
provide them with the ability to watch around, like look around the scenic things you built, and they actually arrive there either to live there for some time and leave and go somewhere else, or to be there and like live closer to God or something else.
Yeah.
So this is basically the whole idea behind it, like talking it a long way. But it wouldn't be me if there wouldn't be a joke in it.
Mm.
So, Monasterium, with this whole things that I basically described, is also a cozy caricature game, basically. Because monks, they look like, okay, they are monks, but this is the low poly game. It doesn't look realistic. It
Mm-hmm.
can't be realistic then. There are ghosts. There are ghosts that are going through your monastery nights. Usually they're, I would say, nice ghosts. They don't do bad things. They're just there and scare people around. But there's always like this devil in the details, because
Mm.
if you produce wine, it can go bad. You
Mm.
don't know why it went bad. It's medieval times.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, someone did it, and the someone is the devil.
Mm.
But also your cows can go crazy.
Mm.
Okay, that's the devil's doing too. So there are those small things that are still in the subject of the monastery, and actually you need to fight with them with the monks, and they can stop you for a bit, like take you out from the creative process,
Mm-hmm.
and let you focus on those like momental things that happen. But then
Yeah.
it's still okay. People all are like love what's happening. You go to back to like normal situation, and you basically go back to creative process of building, looking for the monks, what they're doing, etc., etc.
Yeah, even cozy games need a little bit of friction, right? To feel fun and feel rewarding. And I can definitely tell from your description something that really interests me as someone who is kind of hit or miss with cozy games. You know, I'll like some of them and not like others. Um, it sounds like your strategy background has kind of imbued the game with very deep systems, even though on the surface, like you said, it is, you know, caricatured monks and things are kind of cute and it's about designing. There are these systems that go on underneath the surface. So sounds
Of course,
fascinating to me.
of course, they're
Um,
there. The thing I'm actually working right now on is characters' behaviors, and I'm gonna say that characters can decide on themselves what they want to do, choose from multiple things, and this is the systematic design, and everything around from the code side is built up around systems that either cooperate with each other and know about each other, but I really want the player to need to learn those systems to like work with them.
mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like that's the type of thing that, you know, keeps players coming back in any genre. And it certainly, it's cool to hear that it reflects your roots as a game player, because I think
Mhm.
that's what, you know, connects with people when they're interacting with a game for the first time. So, with that in mind, when you kind of envision the ideal Monasterium player, um, like who do you picture? What elements of the game are you excited to share that might be surprising or interesting to fans of the cozy game genre or other genres?
Okay. Um, I guess like the target player, I would say first the titles. The people that played or are fans of Stardew Valley, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the 2 Point series, but also games like, let me just check the title, Town to
Yeah.
City.
Mm.
I have it installed on my PC right now, and I love this game. Actually, it was released recently, but there is a bit of the coziness in it in every game. Actually, I said, and in the monastery too. And I do really think that ideal player for monastery is the person that values this coziness, the
Hmm.
person that wants the casual game that maybe gives them a bit of need to learn some systems, as we thought, but doesn't like require really learning the game to play it. And that's the one thing I do really envision me playing this game, because
Yeah.
maybe it's a bad thing. I have heard that from multiple developers. Don't create a game for yourself, create for players.
Hmm.
But I do think that I would be a good player for my game, because I go to work. I do work on my personal projects, but once in a few days, I want to have this moment, like an hour, to just sit down and chill out
Yeah.
and totally immerse myself in a different world
Mm-hmm.
that's peaceful.
Yeah.
And and if I would sell my game to someone, I would basically say, "Do you have an hour a week?
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to just chill out and listen to the music and build something that basically looks that is beautiful?"
Yeah. That sounds really nice. And I also think it's fascinating to hear the advice from other devs because I think that, you know, you almost hear you hear both sides of the spectrum as far as like some people say make a game for yourself because then you'll be interested in the project and that's the only way you can truly, you know, embrace creativity.
Exactly.
And then there'll be the other side of the spectrum where people say like if you're not imagining an audience when you're making your game, then you're making your game for no reason if it's a commercial game. And I obviously agree more with the first perspective of, you know, making a game for yourself first, because that feels more creative and more like art to me. And I do think that it's fascinating that you are building some of the things that you love about games outside of, the typical cozy genre into a cozy game, and creating that space for people to, like you said, spend an hour in their week to chill out, immerse themselves in good music and a peaceful atmosphere. And I think, like, if games aren't like extra spaces for folks to go with whatever kind of energy they're bringing to a play session, I don't really know what they are. So I think that's a really poetic way to put it.
Exactly. You actually brought a very, very great point, because I do really believe that for indie game devs, it's from one side it's very difficult to engage hours, countless hours
Mhm.
of your life to create a project that you dream about, and doing it only to sell it to the people, it won't go. You won't
Mhm.
survive that. From the other side, you can create a project from yourself, but then you wouldn't be that happy in the end, probably. So being in the middle, loving a project, but also like trying to see how other people see it, it's the, for me at least, the golden path for for creating a indie project.
Yeah. Um, Very well put. I would agree. But I was wondering, you mentioned, maintaining motivation and working on something you love. And that's just something I wanted to dig into more, because you, like you said, your day job is working on a game that's, not your game. And then you come home and you make your game, Monasterium. And I was just wondering, like, what's a day in the life of Cyryl like? And how do you stay on task and manage your workflow, as far as, like, it seems like it could create a sense of burnout, just, coding at work, coding after work. How do you manage all of that?
Okay. To be honest, it created a burnout. The
Mm.
moment like I told that a year and a half ago, I started creating like the project that evolved to Monasterium. I was actually like after a year break from game dev, I was of course working in Monster Couch, but I
Mm-hmm.
basically banned myself to do anything
Mm-hmm.
until I am in the moment where I really feel the need to do it,
Mm-hmm.
because I really felt burned out at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, it was up and downs. But what really helped me was the ADHD diagnosis. And okay,
Mm-hmm.
how looks my day? Um, I wake up usually between 6:30 to 7:30. Not my idea. That's my boyfriend's idea, because he needs to go usually like at 8 to his work. I could
Mm-hmm.
start at 9:20.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, still, but we usually go together with a car to work, because he
Nice.
works farther away. So
Yeah.
he drives me, so he decides where I wake up, basically. And when I wake up, I have like 20 minutes usually to do everything, to prepare myself, and eat breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast that I've never eaten for like 26 years of my life. I hated breakfast. But actually, my psychologist said you need to take the pills, and the pills need to come up with
Right.
breakfast. Okay, so now every day starts with 30 grams of proteins.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because actually proteins are a essential part in making some hormones
Mm.
that make you want to do things.
Ah,
That's the
yes.
thing that people with ADHD struggle actually. And yeah, I take my pills. I start the day. I go to work. My work is a great mix of things like being in a coding, basically, just being a coder. I love it. But also a mix of being a creative person. I love it much more. And also being a leader for my team, which
Mm-hmm.
I love actually the most. Because working with people is a great thing. I hate working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
In COVID, I worked remotely. I It wasn't good for me, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, being in the office, talking with people, sharing ideas, sharing problems, having those meetings like one-on-ones with my teammates every week, either talking about work or life or side projects. That's great. That's
Mm-hmm.
so stimulating. And then I usually around 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. go back to home, arrive around 6 p.m. Uh, I really need a nap at that moment. So that's the power nap is a thing that basically changed my life.
Mm.
And the power nap, like 20 to 30 minutes, to
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know, for me, it's basically like closing the moment when I am at work and
Mm-hmm.
starting the moment when I'm again at work, but different work.
Yeah.
And then just spending like 2 to 3 hours. So we are talking like 22
Mm-hmm.
I end working on Monasterium. It works
Mm-hmm.
differently. Some days I do take a power nap and it works great. Some days I
Mm-hmm.
wake up after the power nap and I know that it's not a great day. I won't do anything today, so I just lay down or do other things.
Yeah.
And then usually around like um, I would say probably 10 p.m. I'm just
Yeah.
okay. I have an idea. Yeah, I know how to
Yeah.
do it. I'm gonna do it, and then it's hard to wake up next morning.
Yeah.
But it works. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, basically being disciplined about this. Like it took me a long time in my life to find the system. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
system to organize my life.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, for me, the key is being disciplined about this. And I am for last year,
Mm-hmm.
and it works miracles. To be honest, the last okay, let's say 8 months of creating Monasterium, I've never had that much productive time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's only me and the things I changed, or it's the idea that basically comes up very quickly and it's all connects itself. But yeah, it is for me a structured chaos. Like
Yeah.
like in the end, when I go back from work, where it's not chaos, it's all structured. The rest of the day is a structured chaos when I look for things that I can do,
Mm-hmm.
and either it's design, either it's talking to my boyfriend about design, either it's programming, doing research, talking with the people that may help me in the productive process, or setting up a Steam page. That's actually a big pain in the back part of
Yeah.
my body right now. Uh, it's everything chaos, but still, it propels myself forward.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me as far as like within chaos there is variety, and I feel like variety is what keeps one going on a project, particularly in those times where it just feels like lonesome or like a bit of a slog.
Mhm.
So that makes a lot of sense that in your work life you enjoy working with people, enjoy having more of a structure, and then when you're working on Monasterium, it's kind of letting your interest in completing different tasks guide you as you go. We
Exactly.
chatted a little bit offline, and you've referenced it a couple of times during the interview, and maybe we should have gotten to it sooner because I know it's an important part of your reality about your ADHD diagnosis. Um, ADHD and other kind of neurodivergence has been something I've been thinking about a lot recently in the context of games because I've been playing Ed McMillan's new game, Mugenics, which is obviously a big hit. But how do ADHD and art interact in your life as a game developer?
Mm.
And I'm interested in hearing more about anything you'd like to share about your identity in that sense.
Okay, okay, okay. Um, one thing about ADHD people is that most ADHD people I know, and after diagnosis, I actually find out I know a lot of them, uh, is we are a creative beast usually.
Mm.
And the other thing is that we are creative beasts because we get bored very quickly.
Mm.
And it's hard for me to finish the game. Not making the game, that's maybe too, but finish playing the game. Like, there's only one RPG game that I finished throughout the whole of my life. That's Kingdom Come.
Mm.
For me, that says how great that game is,
Mm-hmm.
because I finished it 3 times. But it was always hard to me to consume art or games because everything got bored very quickly. I could play strategy games when I was hyper focused for like 3 days straight, every evening. It was great, countless hours in Paradox games. But whenever the moment came, cut off. Totally, I don't like this game anymore.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And some people do have that because I don't know, the game got too difficult or something. No, for me it was just random moment.
Yeah.
And but here, yeah, here comes those two things for ADHD people. First of all, you get bored quickly, but second of all, you have this superpower of being hyper focused.
Mm.
It hits whenever it wants to hit, so we don't choose, but it is a thing like basically makes you feel a superpower at the moment because
Mm-hmm.
you have the idea and you have this moment like, okay, I don't know how to do it, okay, let me research it, like let me do some first things, and then you actually feel this drive to do it, so you sink in it and you go through it, and it's 3 a.m. and you need to go to sleep because tomorrow's work, but you've made a lot of things in this time.
Yeah.
And of course there is a cost for this. After those moments, you feel tired.
Mm-hmm.
Usually not that much tired because next day you again go into the same mode basically on the same subject. But the cause is also that there are problems with it because
Mm.
there are things like rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually hyper focus on the rabbit hole, good luck. Like,
Mm.
I've did that a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
and been there, done that. It's not a good moment because you really think that it's super important to find it. You go down the rabbit hole, and sooner or later, you need to realize what you're doing is it doesn't have any sense,
Mm-hmm.
and you start questioning yourself. You start questioning the work you did, etc., etc., etc. So the costs are there, but also the good things. With this thing that with this drive to put a lot of work in it, you can come up with real breakthroughs.
Mm-hmm.
And what I actually described was mostly my life before I knew I have
Mm.
ADHD. Because ADHD is really a creative asset for me.
Mm.
Uh, it is sometimes pain in the ass because I can have 2 weeks, 3 weeks of great mood, a
Mm-hmm.
drive. I want to do things. I found this new idea and I do it. And thanks to maths, I can utilize it. So
Yeah.
when it comes, when this time actually is, it is like linear moment in my life. It doesn't change itself.
I
It's
see.
stabilized. But every time, like after a week, 2, 3 months, there is a moment when basically you hit this like small burnout.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to do anything. Meds don't help anymore. You do feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've had that multiple times in my life.
Yeah.
After I find out I have ADHD, I find out that that's normal for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, guy, you just spent 4 or 5 hours every day after work, doing again work,
Yeah.
doing great progress for 3 weeks every day. Why
Hmm.
do you think that it doesn't have a cost? It has a cost. Of course, you
Yeah.
need to press the pause and basically log off from life for a week.
Yeah.
Uh, I can be moody then. I
Hmm.
usually usually choose not to be on social media,
Hmm.
like chat with people. Actually, I had this a week ago,
Mm.
and I was actually questioning this interview because I was,
Yeah, that makes sense.
do I really need to go there? Oh my god, I don't really want that right now. I'm feel great because this whole week was great. Well,
Yeah.
like it would be different.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing for me, and I guess for a lot of ADHD people that it's not stable.
Yeah.
But if you learn that it's not stable, if you learn it's you're not sick, it's not like a bad time in your life or something. It's basically how we work. Then you can work around it.
Yeah. Well, that's all really important here. And I feel like hopefully, if someone's listening who has gone through similar patterns or has questioned themselves in similar ways, that they'll uh, go, seek answers in that sense, because it seems like it's really helped you to put a name to a feeling and kind of a
Mhm.
process that's happened. And it almost feels like now you're treating it as like an empowering, you said superpower, which is awesome to hear.
Yeah, yeah, I do feel that way actually,
Yeah.
and you know what? It actually also like helped to change my personality a bit. Because
Mm.
what I loved about myself, I actually skipped that part while talking about the history of my life. When I was 16, probably, I started with my friends the studio. We call that 4FS, and
Mm.
that's still the name of this, like my indie studio I work in.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing a lot of things. I was 16. I was going to conferences. I've been there first time on Digital Dragons conference in Poland, and I saw first time game dev, and that was
Mm-hmm.
a huge moment for me. And I didn't have any problems to talk with people that probably have millions or did a lot of games
Mm-hmm.
and talk with them from my perspective like equal.
Yeah.
And then something changed.
Hmm.
Like the adult life hit, things started going off way basically. And the last years, I really had problems with that. I don't know why. And
Mm-hmm.
like the ADHD diagnosis, getting the meds changed my character a bit back to that person, the person
Hmm.
I liked. That's
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Yeah. That's interesting to hear. And I also think it's heartening to hear as far as like, I know I've personally had, days or periods where it feels like, you don't know yourself or, yeah, like, have I changed permanently? And I think it's important to remember that anyone who we perceive we've been or perceive that we can be again, or we can be in the future. And
Yeah.
that's really heartening to hear. Um, you mentioned kind of the Polish game scene a little bit, so I kind of want to just go ahead to that question. Poland has obviously been a standout in game development. Particularly visible is CD Projekt Red, who made the Witcher games and now Cyberpunk. And now Larian has a studio in Warsaw, so Poland is definitely, for the size of the country, a really big player in the game scene. And I was wondering, like, are there any unique elements that you can point to in Polish games,
Mm.
or just in general, like letting my listeners who live elsewhere know something about your country that they might not be familiar with?
Okay. 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 Yeah, you mentioned CD Projekt Red when you just said Polish game dev. I knew the question would be about the Polish game dev, so the first thing that came to my mind obviously was CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
That might be a bit cliche already, but the thing is that again, when I was 16, that I won't say how much. Yeah, more than 10 years ago, and it was actually a year after Witcher 3 was released. I was on
Mm,
Digital Dragons there, and CD Projekt was there, and for everyone in game dev, they were, I won't say heroes, but they were
mhm.
an icon.
Yeah.
Like, they showed Poland to the world, like Polish game dev to the world. And maybe there were other games before that almost did it. I don't want to say that it is only a CD Projekt Red thing.
Mhm.
And there is, of course, the Techland's
Mhm.
This War of Mine game. Uh, it's actually the game about a personal view on a war
Mm.
from the like eyes of a person, probably in a wartime Warsaw.
Oh, interesting.
And I know it was kind of popular. It is for sure. It is hitting like hard,
Mhm.
and there is a lot of this kind of games in Poland.
Mm.
And Witcher, when I played The Witcher 3, I didn't play any Witcher before,
Mhm.
but I had to play Witcher 3. I didn't finish it though. But the thing is that by playing this game, as a Polish person, you basically see Poland there.
Interesting.
In the characters' behaviors, in the things that they're talking, and world building actually.
Mm.
There's a one huge city that's basically it has a some monuments like port buildings, for example, that are basically the buildings in Poland,
Hmm.
and you see this world, and for me personally, and I guess for other Polish people, that was something huge. But
Mhm.
what's really clicking, like for the Polish game dev, is that Polish people are, in my opinion, very, I wouldn't say charismatic, but we have layers.
Mhm.
And those layers are something that was created throughout our history. Because,
Mhm.
of course, there will be people that will say, no, don't say that Poland had like hard history, and that's why, I don't know, Polish games, some of the Polish games are popular.
Mm.
Okay, but we are the definition of our history, like the
Mhm.
culture, our genetics, our other things. And the fact that Poland was in war, and the fact that still in Poland there are people that exactly know how Warsaw looked when there were no buildings that weren't hit there.
Yeah.
The fact that we have the families and family stories about heroes and other things.
Mhm.
It's a thing that's really, I do believe, um, creates this creative field. It
Mm.
drives people to say those stories.
Mm.
And but still, the other thing about the layers of Polish people is that every crisis learns, like teaches you and teaches the nation some behaviors.
Mm.
And there is a stereotype, I would say. Um, it's called cebula in Poland. It's onion. That
Yeah.
there is a person called an onion, a
Mhm.
person that doesn't like to spend a lot of money, a person that really counts money, and basically it's not viewed like a good thing in that person. It's like
Yeah.
not nice. Those things are also in Witcher. It's
Mm.
not like you don't see it.
Yeah.
So those layers in our culture, in our nation, in our people, they do really come up in games because it's art, and art describes reality.
Yeah.
However, we want to create something that is new and is creative and is basically unrealistic. It does describe the reality either way,
Yeah.
because we are, I would say, the machines as humans that learn the world around them. And if you live in Poland, you know Poland, so you describe the Poland.
Yeah.
And The thing is that, I mean, there are from one side lower cost of living, like than in Paris or
Mm,
in States, in Poland. So that attracts some people. That
mm,
attracts people that came here to work, and they can earn good money in IT, in game dev too,
mm-hmm,
and still live on a good level because lower cost of living. But from the other side, I guess we have this drive to work in our culture,
mm,
like when USSR finished its existence, and
yeah.
Poland actually gained its like started to be a sovereign country. Uh, we had a GDP of around a current time wartime Ukraine.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Right now, there were moments when Poland was called a European tiger. Of
mm,
course, we get a lot of money from European Union,
mm,
but it's still the thing that 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 I would say is different about Polish people than our neighbors that also get a lot of money from European Union is that we really work hard.
mm,
And most people in Poland I know that work, they work hard.
mm,
So I would say that's actually about the Polish game dev. We want to achieve a lot of things. We want to show a lot of things. Uh, we actually can show a lot of things, and I won't say that for me because I always could create something, but I know that my parents or my grandparents couldn't.
mm.
So this is like this drive, this moment when you feel like the occasion that comes once in a lifetime, but for the whole nation, I guess.
Huh. Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. And I wonder, a couple thoughts came up while you were just describing how, well, if you go all the way back to, the writing of the Witcher books, there is kind of this obviously underlying darkness and grittiness to the books, which were written by a Polish author that then were translated into the games in their own vision. And even, now that if we're using CD Projekt Red as an example, have moved on to something like Cyberpunk, there is still like this underlying darkness and grittiness, just in a different, completely different setting.
Hmm.
And in that way, I think it's clear to see just from those few examples how, a darker history or a more layered history can influence the Polish art. And then also, it's perhaps counterintuitive. I think it also comes through in something like Monasterium, where even though it's cozier, even though it's more colorful, more beautiful than some of the past examples, you do have these layered systems, which almost mirrors maybe the layers that you were talking about in the people. If you want to think about it from a more poetic sense, that's just where my mind went. Well, thank you so much for your time. It has been wonderful chatting with you, and I'm really grateful that you were willing to come on and share your perspective.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just waiting for myself to finally release the Monasterium Steam page. So
Mm-hmm.
feel invited to check it out
Yeah.
whenever I release it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I'll make sure to share that and include it in the show notes once it is live. So that
Thanks.
might come a little later, I know. But yeah, keep me posted on that. And I'm excited to follow along in the Discord as well. And listeners should feel free to find that Discord as well. Wasn't he just a beautiful soul? I really enjoyed talking to Cyryl. He surprised me. I feel so lucky to have chatted with someone on the show who is so celebratory of neurodivergence and so interested in how it impacts not only his attitude on life and the broader things, but how it impacts his ability to day to day feel good and day to day get things done and day to day feel happy and love himself. So I am so grateful that he came on the show and shared that perspective with us. I also was interested in his identity as a gay developer. But when I asked him more about that kind of off mic, he basically said that the two identities were not intertwined, that they were separate in his life, and he wouldn't have a ton to add as far as their combination with one another. And so wanted to respect that distance, but also as I continue to do the show, I want to have more guests who embody various different identities. So while I'm sure men and white men in particular will always kind of be around and giving interviews and saying brilliant things, I think that it's more important than ever to try to make whatever piece of media you're engaging with or creating as diverse as you can. So I'm going to try to get more women on, going to try to get more folks with intersectional identities on to talk about their projects and their lives, because that's what interests me. As far as what I've been up to recently, been deciding on potentially what law school I'm going to go to, which is interesting. I want to, if I go the law school route, work in games eventually. And I had a really wonderful chat with a member of the Video Game Bar Association, Ryan Black, the other day. We were just talking about the path to games law. We nerded out about the PSP a little bit. And he was a lovely person to chat with. He works in Vancouver at the firm DPL Piper, which I think is a larger video game firm that would probably not be cheap if you're trying to work with clients. I also want to shout out Haley McLean, who has been really helpful. She's a very vocal video game lawyer who I got to chat with as well, and I listen to her content often as part of the MinMax network. So she also works with smaller clients if you need any help with publishing agreements or something along those lines if you're a developer listening to this. But that's what I want to do. I want to work with developers as well if I do need to get a, in quotations, real job. So it seems like going the video game law route, if I can make it work, would be a nice way to go. And I might be staying here in Seattle. I might be moving to Richmond, Virginia to pursue that degree. And my partner Jamie and I went to Hawaii to tour that law school this past week. And that would be an interesting opportunity as well. I think like the idea of it being somewhat of a gateway to Japan, if I really focused on my Japanese learning, could be an interesting opportunity to unite some interests and maybe work in Japan, but seems more far-fetched just as far as my goals and making things realistic in that I got some scholarships at places that aren't Hawaii, and with the higher cost of living, it could be tough. But yeah, I mean, Russ from Retro Game Core lives in Hawaii, and I like his channel, and there's some cool games going on. We went to a Book Off, which is a Japanese thrift chain that has tons of retro games and had a great selection of GameCube, PSP, and maybe what you would expect more from a thrift store like the Xbox and PS3 and forward era. But Jamie got a manga book. I believe it's in the Magi series for $1, which was awesome. They had a lot of CDs. I didn't get anything because I was trying to travel light, but it's definitely the kind of place where I could just drop tons of money once I have more of a retro game set up. And I realized that I had kind of stopped playing Mewgenics, which from now on I think I might just call Meowgenics to avoid any kind of out of context butchering of the name that could land me in hot water. I'd kind of given up on Meowgenics just because of how addictive it felt to my brain. And then while traveling, I realized that it is the perfect plane game. So I'm not going to pick it up at home, but it really makes the hours fly by for me, and I loved playing it on the plane to and from Hawaii. The game's really opening up now that I'm in Act 2, but I've had to put a ton of time into it to get there. And I can't wait to continue exploring and continue loving my little cats with all their different traits. And so that was present in my rotation. Another really interesting phenomenon that I might try to do a YouTube video about, or maybe just write an essay about, is I picked up Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth again after putting it down for a while, and playing the Waikiki in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and like staying in a hotel and walking around Waikiki in like the same night was such a transcendent experience in a way. Like, I've never been closer to feeling like I was like in a video game world, as weird as that seems. I think like from when I was just a little kid, I had always wanted to, you know, be in the Pokemon world or be in like a platformer or something along those lines. And this, oddly enough, is like, since the Yakuza series is like set in the real world and in these locations that are very iconic and well rendered in the game, it was fascinating to be like running around as Ichiban Kasuga and then like kind of role play that a little bit as Jamie and I were walking the streets of Waikiki. Just kind of a bizarre, fascinating experience that made me connect with the game and the characters a lot more than I had in the past. And maybe I'll be interested in continuing to play that now that I'm back here on the mainland. But it was just a very like unique, time specific and geography specific joyful interaction with the game, which really fascinates me, if you couldn't tell, doing this podcast. And so that was probably the most notable news from my game playing this week. From my game modding and my kind of retro game setup, which I mentioned before, a big development is that I did go out and get myself a Vita on eBay. It came in from Japan and was waiting for me after I got back from Hawaii, and I've been kind of nonstop tinkering and modding it to get it to a place where I've got all the games, I've got all the fun emulators and stuff set up on it. But recently my joy has just been going through, there's like a native Vita downloader, which just has a bunch of like fan-made games and ports on it, and that's where I'm finding some really strangely made, strangely marketed little blurbs about games that I can't wait to dig into and share some updates on. But if you have a Vita or are interested at all in the Vita modding community, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at indiegamegarden@gmail.com. I just think that it's a gem of a console, and one that I love kind of how unique and strange and odd a community has cropped up in the space over the years. I think it's a wonderful example of how vacuums can lead to joyful communities. So the vacuum with the PS Vita, for folks who might not be familiar, is it was a console that Sony came out with to kind of compete with the 3DS after the PSP had kind of sunset, and they realized, I think pretty soon into the production, that it wasn't going to make a lot of money, and so they kind of it's a famously under-supported console. There aren't a ton of games on it, and folks who had made this investment to buy this, new handheld were kind of left in the lurch. And so this really big modding community surrounding it came into being and is still actually very healthy and alive today. And so it's just become this like kind of totemic device that is constantly underrated, but beloved by folks who have it and who are part of the modding community. So I just love how something like a first-party console that kind of had Sony's name on it has just turned into this joyful hub of open source tech and things along those lines, which, of course, I don't know a ton about in a technical sense, but I know a lot about in my heart, and my heart says it's wonderful, and so therefore it is. I think that's a good enough message to end on for today. You can find more of my work on YouTube at Indie Game Garden, on Instagram at Indie Game Garden, and of course, if you're listening to this podcast, maybe you're already on one of those platforms. It's also available in audio form on your podcatcher of choice. So thanks so much for being here. If you want to give me a follow or a subscribe or a rate, that is always appreciated. And I don't pay to advertise the show in any capacity, so telling one friend is doing me the biggest favor that you can. So I really appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and can't wait to be back with more joy and more destroying apathy sometime quite soon. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.